also have with us on the panel Simon Levine, Research Fellow with the Humanitarian Policy Group here at ODI, and Paul Melly, Journalist and Associate Fellow with the Africa Programme at Chatham House. Let me bring both of you in now. Simon Levine, what does all of this and everything we've heard in the last 40 minutes or so, what does that tell us about the most important and most effective interventions that can both have the best possible impact on a humanitarian emergency, but also contribute to helping build up resilience as well?
I wish I knew the answer to that question, and I think there are very many people in the world who also wish they knew the answer to the question. It's a million-dollar question. I'm quite optimistic on the one hand and quite pessimistic on the other hand. I think huge progress has been made. Previous speakers, have talked about changing agenda, much more willingness to think differently about our systems, even if we haven't quite got them changed entirely. A much greater willingness to think long term rather than short term. But when it comes down to the nuts and bolts of do we actually know what to do, I think this is where we still don't know.
That's a bit dispiriting, isn't it?
It is. I mean, there's some fairly good reasons why we don't know, and the main one I think is that we've never tried to learn the lessons. It's very, very rare. I mean, it sounds ridiculous. It's very, very rare indeed for there to be any kind of serious lessons learned around impact on what actually works. I know it sounds completely crazy. I have done, for various times, I've sort of had to search literature to find out, well, kind of what do we know about what really works in terms of helping people's livelihoods? And you ask every researcher around, go to every institute, and everyone goes, when you find the paper, let me know, because I've never seen it. I mean, it's absolutely stunning. That doesn't mean we've learnt nothing. I mean, so for example, Camilla was talking about how much better we've got around markets. Yeah. Absolutely true. Markets were just not on the agenda. I mean, usually in humanitarian affairs and even in development, kind of our memory goes back maximum 10 years. So, I mean, everyone now is comparing this famine with, kind of up to 2005 and so on. Let's remember famines in Niger, the big ones were, over 30 years ago, 40 years ago now. And then it was around, kind of wait till people are dying and give them food. And this was the same in the 80s in the Horn. And we don't do that now. We come in much quicker, and we come in with, so-called innovative things like cash, which, the British were actually doing in the Bengal famine back in the days of the Raj. Okay, but but our ability at a micro level to just the fact that we need to know, that NGOs or the UN realize we need to know, do markets function? Will food work? Will cash work? We're asking those questions, and we are much, much better. The problem comes when we actually stand back and say, but it's actually going to work at a much bigger, how do markets work at a macro level? And I don't think we know. I mean, I'm not a Sahel expert. Let me be absolutely clear about that. I've been following the Sahel as a slightly more than interested observer, but from here, and was looking and getting all the news on the food prices and speaking to people who do know the Sahel very well and going, kind of what's going on with the food, and everyone I spoke to was going, we don't know. Everyone will interpret food price changes in a completely different way. And because there's speculation and there's fears that prices are being deliberately driven higher in order to force agencies to come in with food aid, which the people who are forcing the price up will then send it. True or not, I have no idea. But our knowledge of kind of how things work at that macro level, I don't think is really good enough. And so we can, we know how to do the small projects, and we know how to help that village. It's very, very easy if you take someone and we say, well, look, if you give them social protection, meaning we give them money, we give them, like we have in this country, social security, whatever it's now called. If you give a hungry person money over the time when they're hungry, they won't be hungry. Well, we know that. But what's the answer at a permanent? And there's huge progress made in the Sahel, and there's kind of 2-year social protection programs going on. And then what? Well, we simply don't know. I mean, we're just dealing with a scale of poverty we kind of don't know how to deal with. I'm always reminded of the. I mean, it used to be a joke back when I was about kind of that high about I don't know why it was China, but it was a village in China where everyone in the village made their living by taking in their neighbour's washing, and that's how they made their living. And it seems to me that we are still a little bit stuck in that mode, that we know how to help one person one woman get a goat, and another woman get a goat, and another woman. But at a macro level, what happens to the economy when everyone's trying to sell each other goats? We don't know yet. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think there's a huge amount. So you asked me the questions. Okay.
Yeah.
So what do we now do?
Yeah.
And the short answer to that is start from now in trying to learn. So that if you ask me this question in 10 years' time, I would have an answer for you. Not that I would generate the answer, but at least I would know. I would say read so and so's report and so and so's report because now we know. Because right now, don't think I'm being pessimistic or negative in saying we don't know.
Okay. Simon, thank you very much.